Welcome to Influence to Death, your guide for navigating the wild world of wellness influencing. Hi, and welcome to the returning episode of Influence to Death. My name is Victoria Lafont.
I'm Hannah Wright. I'm very excited to be doing this. I really missed recording with you, Victoria.
Same. Yeah, totally. I actually haven't seen you in so long. I was like, your hair, you grew so much hair. We've been gone. Yeah, it's been a few months. I think we ended on podcast 50.
Wow.
I can't even remember what the last topic was that we published. And we actually have one in the hopper. Sarah Russell came on and talked about placentophagy. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
We should publish that. Maybe we'll publish that before we're in the same series as this one.
Yeah, let's definitely do. That's a great episode. So yeah, this is the return. I feel like we both have enough time right now to record-ish, and we're going to try to make it happen and at least record a few episodes while we have this time and then publish them. So yeah, here we are.
Yeah. Oh, and so Hannah and I have been talking about this. There's a music festival happening like a half a block up the street from me, which is awesome. And if you hear background music, lucky you, you get to be here for that. So yeah, they're doing sound checks and like that this morning. So, okay, should we tell people what we were up to?
Yeah.
We've just been hibernating this whole time, and now it's spring and we're back. We're like bears. You guys didn't know that?
Well, y'all know the reason I was so busy is because I went back to school to get a master's in public health. And so I'm halfway done with that, maybe more than halfway. Not technically, but I feel like I'm ahead of the tough stuff.
Nice.
I have 2 more semesters left.
Wow, Hannah.
And then I'll be done. Yay.
Wow. Okay, and just do you want to give as much as you can, like a synopsis of how you feel like it's shifted you or something cool that...
Man, I wish I understood more about public health when I was 18 and I could have gone in that direction. I love epidemiology. I mean, to me, it's I love the history behind things and medical mysteries and connecting the dots. And that's kind of why that's so interesting to me. But I just didn't, when I went to college, I didn't really, I'm the first college graduate in my family. And I just didn't really understand a lot about what options were out there.
Totally.
For our careers. I had no idea. So, now I've definitely realized that my heart is in the public health type nutrition, and it always has been. I just didn't really understand how to define that. And now I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I've always been into,
I can
the whole
see that,
time.
Hannah. I can totally see that. Yeah, you're an activist. I mean, I see you as an activist.
Yeah. So, and then along with that, it's also a dietetic program. So I'll finally be able to become a licensed dietitian, which will be nice because that'll open up careers, teaching, and just where I live in Tennessee. It's a very helpful thing to have to be a licensed practitioner. So
now, can you become an RD, or is that
I will be an RD?
RD. Okay. Whoa, girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have to do, the reason why I've been so busy, and I didn't even realize until I just finished last week how much time my schoolwork was taking up. But because I had to do all my clinical things for the RD, you have to have 1,000 hours to be able to sit for the board exam. So it's
a lot of hours.
Yeah. So I'm nearly at the halfway point with those. So.
And are you just seeing different populations in clinic, a lot of different... Cool.
Yeah. So last semester, it wasn't really, it was a few weeks ago, I actually got to travel to Knoxville to do a rotation at a pediatric gastroenterology clinic. So it's
that's your jam.
I know. It was so cool. It was really, really a wonderful experience. And the dietitian who I was shadowing, my preceptor, she was just amazing, a wealth of knowledge. And
awesome.
And then they combine things like that with more community-based nutrition programs because we do have that public health aspect too. And so it's cool. It's definitely a well-designed program for sure.
Awesome. God, I'm so glad it's where you are, it's like that's a big deal.
It is. It was, like, kind of amazing because I knew I always wanted to get a PhD, like, and I
Mhm.
before I had Max, I really was interested in, nutritional anthropology. That was, like, my or
Mhm.
also environmental psychology, totally different, but
Mm.
both things I was interested in, and so, but there's nothing here. I would have like, having a family has kind of tied me here, and so
Mhm.
I we couldn't move to Atlanta or move to wherever to do
Mhm.
a program, so I was like, "Well, what could I do here?" And they just happened to have developed this one in the last 5 years at the university
Wow.
here. So it didn't even
Cool.
exist before, which kinda made me feel a little better. I couldn't even have done like
I mean, what you bring up is really important. It's like you don't know what you don't know. This is
Right.
the thing I come up with all the time with AI is like I love AI because I'm like, hey, what do I not know about whatever this thing is that you're helping me
Mhm.
with? Like that's probably the use case that comes up for me the most because I'm fascinated with knowing what I don't know,
Mhm.
like understanding where my gaps are. We can't see that.
Yeah.
Um, well, girl, I'm stoked for you. I'm like a tiny bit jealous. I'm just gonna tell you, I love what you're doing so much, but
Thank
I'm
you.
99% just very happy for you and glad that you're getting to do that, and that it's such a good fit.
It is. Yeah, it's wonderful. I love, like, when you can just say yes to stuff that's like, "Oh, this is perfect. Yes, I will do this even
Mhm.
though it'll be crazy for a little bit." So
Yeah,
thank you.
totally.
I'm, like, jealous of you guys and your fitness studio that y'all just opened.
Oh my god, yeah, but yeah, we opened a gym.
Yeah,
Just
that's a big deal. It's very, very beautiful the way y'all
it
have
is
timed
okay,
it.
so Andrew has a beautiful this is my aesthetic, is like, whatever. Am I warm? Am I comfortable? I have a little, you know, emo, like, part of me
No,
that
I'm
still happens.
happy. I'm liking
Um,
it.
thanks. But he's like he's Andrew's like bougie. He's like way more bougie than he is crunchy, and so, yeah, he's turned that space into this like beautiful it's a club. So yeah, we
Mhm,
opened 7th Street Wellness Club. It's in downtown Paducah, Kentucky. We serve the surrounding areas. It's a club that the model I'm actually have a little like okay, I like did a good job with the structuring and the
mhm.
some of the strategy that we've come up with. It fits him really well, and then I think also for us as a family, it's going to work really well because I mean, this is maybe I shouldn't say this on mic. We live very close to the club,
Oh,
so we just
I
we
didn't know
have
what
to
you were about to say. I thought it was gonna be something really interesting.
I just wanna protect us, like, we've put a lot of
Yeah.
measures in place to protect us because it's like a very public facing business,
Mhm.
um, and the population is people that have come in have been fantastic. Me saying that is no reflection on people that we've worked with. They're like loving bringing us like fruits and vegetables out of their gardens and like it's
Uh,
so sweet. Um, but yeah, it's a club for people over 40. And that's then the demographic that he's worked with. God, Andrew's been doing he's not a physical therapist, but physical therapy adjacent work for
mhm.
decades now, like working with people with fused spines and complex shoulder surgeries and
Yeah.
like post-operative clients. So, those are the people he loves. And like, I think there's this way where it's like when you know about something, it just kind of becomes like part of how you operate and you don't think about it anymore. So like as I'm like the marketer for this gym, right? So I'm like going to be like, okay, explain, the way that you've laid everything out.
Mhm.
He's like, oh yeah, we have this type of trainer and then this is wheelchair accessible. And then I bought these benches for a reason. It's like every decision that he's made for that space is I mean, I'm 43 for people 40 and over and
Mhm.
people like his oldest client right now is in his mid 80s. He has
Wow, that's
Parkinson's.
amazing.
Like, so it's like, oh, wow, this isn't just like a gym.
Yeah,
It's
it's very intentional. That
yeah, and
sounds
then the model is this I'm gonna say this on this podcast because I need to practice having the words in my mouth, but also, like, I'm gonna plug us a little bit. It's not a $20 a month fee, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it does cost a little bit more because what people get is they do get access to that specialized space, but every member gets a do you ever use like a fitness app? So like we use True
Mhm.
Coach. There's different ones. And Andrew's writing all of these programs so that when you come in, you just know exactly what to do. Like you just open
Oh,
True
that's
Coach,
awesome.
your key code to get there's a you get like your unique key code to get in the door, and then you just like go through the steps. And if you want to come 7 days a week, you have a fitness program 7 days a week. Like, and it's him. He's writing that. So it's
That's
yeah,
very
it's
special. So people can
it's neat.
go anytime they want if
Oh,
they're a
yeah,
member?
it's an open club. I mean, it's open. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Once
so
you're a
cool.
member, you log in. I mean, you can't come at midnight.
Yeah.
You cannot come here at midnight. Just let's put that out there. But no, we have it's 6 to 8 on the weekdays and then
Uh-huh.
8 to 5 on the weekends.
That is so cool. Are people, like, hanging out down there?
A little, yeah. I mean, it's we just opened like 15 seconds ago. You know, we like just got our doors open. But yeah, like I went down the other day, in my like if it's hot out, I don't have many clothes on. Also because
Yeah.
I have hot flashes every 2 minutes, which we should have a whole episode on hot flashes. I'm, I'm too young for this shit. So I go down in my like, little workout shorts and sports bra, and I was like, there are people here. And it's like, oh yeah, because it's a business.
Not your private gym anymore.
That's right. It has been for a long time. So
That is
yeah, it's cool.
awesome. That I wish
That's
I
what we've been
lived
doing.
there. I can't wait to
Me
come
too.
see it.
I know. I want to get together like a women's lifting group and we pick up heavy stuff and hang out and,
Yeah.
kiki together. So yeah. And then I'm just running the LaFont agency, and also running my own business on the side.
Just
That's what I've been
modern
doing.
now.
That's what I've been doing. And gardening. I built a huge garden out back.
Yeah, dude.
I have tomatoes, cilantro, celery, Jerusalem artichokes. Hannah, I've got
That's
so
what I wanna
many.
grow are those
They're
yeah.
very easy. I'm getting used to gardening in this
Where did you
climate.
get did you start with the tubers? Where did you get
Yeah,
them?
there's this wonderful woman. Well, there's these wonderful
Oh,
women in this
okay.
area.
I can't
Like,
access that.
but she gave me Jerusalem artichokes.
Okay.
Like,
So you
and then
just
I just, yeah.
plant the tubers and then okay.
And I like let them sit out for too long and they got kind of soft. And I was like, oh my
Uh-huh.
God, this is not going to work. And I just shoved them in there way too early. I think they're very prolific, probably
Yeah.
in
I think
Chattanooga.
one
They're going to be
produces like
great.
20 plants or something.
Girl, I'm going to be farting for farts forever.
Jerusalem artichokes, also called sunchokes, are like this like root, if you don't know, and
Yeah.
it's a member of the sunflower
I
family,
think
right?
so. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's like it grows underground. It is the most concentrated source of fructooligosaccharides, which is a prebiotic fiber. I think
Wonderful.
ounce for ounce compared to other stuff, like one sunchoke has like a lot, like many grams, like
You can
a
taste it.
beyond a
It's
therapeutic dose.
sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sweet, and, so that's why they're called fartichokes is because they're so good, and especially if you cook them, you could eat, like,
Mhm.
10 of them, and that would probably give you, like, 100 grams of FOS or something, and it
Then you just
feeds your gut
explode.
bacteria. Yeah, so they produce gas, which isn't a bad thing, but it can be
No.
uncomfortable, I guess.
Dude, I am so stoked about that's the most exciting. I'm also growing loofah. The
Oh,
sponges?
cool.
They just grow. It's a plant.
Then you could sell them in your club.
Oh,
I
we
mean
could. Yeah. We do have Mount Capra soap down there, that
uh-huh.
delicious goat milk soap. I don't know if you've ever ordered it from them.
No, I've only had their protein
I
powder.
love Mount Capra, but they
Oh,
sell this soap, and so the whole club smells like this delicious,
oh,
like
that's
it's really nice. If you're in Paducah,
special
stop on
place.
by. Okay, should we talk about the batshit
Yeah.
crazy topic that we have?
So, yeah, let's get into it. Do you wanna start? You're the one that so I didn't know what MMS was. I
Yeah,
had no
so
idea. I missed the whole thing. Like, this was a big
oh,
deal, I
yeah.
guess, during the pandemic
And
and even
before,
preceding
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Apparently, it is still being used, but it's kind of underground because it's, like, illegal.
Yeah, yeah, is it illegal or is it just like people are I
I
posted this
mean
one paper that was like, "We're again asking you not to drink bleach." Like
I mean, everybody remembers in, like, 2020 or 2021 when Trump was on stage suggesting we should drink bleach or
bleach
inject
our blood.
bleach or investigate that as a medical and I guess that's where it was coming from. I had no idea at the time what he
Yeah,
was
and
talking about, but
some of what we'll talk about today is like there are some applications that have some proof behind it, and it's like the perfect topic for us, where there's like this thread of truth, and then what
Yeah.
happens to that thread of truth? It gets like, twisted around, and we're going to try and untwist it, hopefully. Yeah, I just got a text the other day from this woman who I adore, who we've all studied nutrition together, and she was like, hey, do people send you things like that now since the podcast? Like, hey, have
Yeah.
you seen this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do.
Which I love. Please send us all crazy things that you come across health wise online. Um, yeah, she sent me this and she was like, hey, I didn't know if you've seen these. It's this family that started to produce this compound called MMS. So it's sodium chlorite, but they called it miracle mineral solution.
Mhm.
I actually had dreams all night, and I was like, where are the minerals? In my dream, I was like,
Yeah.
there are no minerals in this. It's
Yeah.
sodium and chlorite. And so they're producing this, calling it under MMS,
Miracle
this name.
Miracle Solution, yeah.
Yeah, and then making these claims, and they just got sentenced to 12 years in a federal penitentiary, which is not a state penitentiary. It's like that you're going to jail.
Real.
Um,
Prison. That is prison. Yeah.
bad. Yeah, really bad. So I was like, no, I haven't seen it. But then we're not going to name names this episode at
Okay.
all. Just let's
Yeah.
protect the protect the innocent and the questionably innocent. Um, but she was like, hey, have you seen this? And I hadn't. But then it spurred this
Mhm. And she was
renaissance.
saying it because she's aware people are still using it, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
In,
the
like, the
and
functional
you
medicine kind of world.
yeah, like, so there she named a extremely well-known functional medicine practitioner who has people enroll in a program, and that apparently a lot of people coming into this program are still using
Mhm.
MMS.
And are part of the
Um,
church, quote, unquote, "church" because it's not an actual church, uh, but I guess it was used as a guise to sell this. Although I really question that because 'cause we'll read the transcript from the court
right,
proceedings
right.
where these guys are I I I can't tell if they really believe this because part of their thing is saying that MMS, which is chlorine dioxide, like after you activate the sodium citrate or what did you say? Sodium chloride? Sodium
Sodium chlorite, I believe, and then
with
the way that
acid
they would
or bleach.
recommend that when people get it, they add some like lemon juice to it. And
Uh-huh.
so, look, we've had a chemist help us before. We are not that. We're not chemists, but from what I'm like, I pulled up the little
But it does make bleach.
yeah, when you add, I want to make sure yeah, sodium chloride. So when you add some type of acid to sodium
Uh-huh.
chloride, there's a chemical reaction that happens. And it's actually, from what I can see, it's the gas, the sodium chloride, or sorry, is that right? So it's sodium chloride, and then you add the acid,
Mhm.
and it changes into
Chlorine
this other
dioxide,
chlorine dioxide, right?
which is
And it's
bleach. It's a
and it's a
disinfect.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I guess a form of bleach, like Clorox.
Mhm.
Is that is that exactly the same?
I don't know. Let's look it up.
Yeah, I think it's a tiny bit different. I mean, I'm just Googling
So,
Clorox
the thing with
ingredients. I
the
didn't.
church which I'm gonna find the
So
name.
Clorox is sodium hydrochlorite. Sodium
Okay.
chloride. Little bit different. Oh, I think it is a tiny bit different. But then MMS is sodium chlorite, and then it turns into chloride dioxide. Is that what you just said?
Chlorine dioxide?
Chlorine dioxide, yes.
Mhm.
And that's a gas. So I think when you add that acid to the sodium chloride, it creates this gas, chlorine
Mhm.
dioxide. Um, but yeah, okay, so the church,
So the
that's
church
where
is
we were
called the
at.
Genesis Church of Health and Healing, and their whole thing is that they said chlorine dioxide, MMS, is a fundamental part of their church practice because it's the sacrament given to them by God. And so in the court, in the charges against them, part of their defense, they represented themselves, by the way. We can talk about that in a
They
minute, but
did. Yeah,
they
they
did
did.
say that, like, they were being religiously discriminated against because it was part of their church. So it's unclear to me, like, I can only speculate whether they truly believe that or they were, like, master con artists, because the seminars that they were selling to people to get them to take this, and this is over years, and this happened here
Yeah.
in the US and in other countries too.
Mhm.
They charged one report was $450 per person or $800 for a couple to go to the seminar just for them to tell you about the benefits. So we linked a Guardian article about this. It's very interesting. If you search MMS, you'll find that FDA like reports on these guys. It's a whole family. It's a father and sons in Florida, and they were producing it in a shed.
The
And we'll get into the
stereotype
details
prevails.
of that. But there were people even preceding that, and a lot of, like, the videos that they posted and things were taken down after this all happened, but there is still one active website I found who I think may be the founder of the Genesis Church of Health and Healing. It's this old dude, looks like a little old grandpa, talking about how you need to drink this bleach, and he passed in 2023. I don't know what from,
Oh,
but
that'd be
he drank it every
fascinating.
day for many years, he said. And so he's the founder of the church, and then he passed the church on to the father of this family
The
in Florida who was
Grenons, Mark
producing it,
Grennon. Yeah.
Brennan, who are producing it in their shed in their yard and then selling it online. So, where do we want to start with this?
I have so many pings in my for better or worse, like exposed to all these crazy things brain.
Mhm.
Like this brings up so many things for me where I'm like, dude, did you ever go to the Weston A. Price Foundation conferences back in the
No,
day? Okay.
no.
So I loved them. And I think we talked to Jenny McGruther about those
Yes.
conferences. They would have these like vats of butter. And I mean, it was like so Weston
Mhm.
A. Price. But I remember I went to a talk at one of those conferences. They were not promoting drinking bleach, but it was a talk about like strange health practices that like maybe had some, like logical backing, like kind of like this podcast a little bit. And I remember they talked about this woman who would wash all of her like fruits and vegetables and meat, even I think in like a bleach solution. Like I think this bleach or otherwise the cleaning, scrubbed purification vibe comes up so strong. And I just remember that from that talk. But this also is so reminiscent of Jameson's
Yes.
dude that made the
Plymouth
Ormus.
Gold.
There's this passage where it's like this family is making this MMS in this dirty shed. Like the court report talks about like they like had this like disgusting shed behind their house, and then they find these like they show a picture of the sodium chlorite container, like the main like industrial container they're getting it out of, and it's like splattered with crap, and I don't know about
Oh.
actual. It's just dirty, you know.
But who knows?
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
wild. So their thing is that, and still to this day, I think in these kind of underground groups, they claim it's a cure all, right?
yeah. That's what they
Cancer,
everything.
cures autism,
HIV,
HIV, viruses, autoimmunity, essentially anything you could even
bankruptcy. I'm just
think
kidding.
of,
Yeah,
it will fix you. You will
yeah.
be saved. So, um,
And so the names, I just pulled up their names because it's interesting. So Mark Grennon is the dad, and he's like the archbishop of the church. And then
mhm,
it's Jonathan, Jordan, and Joseph are
are
his
his son,
sons, and they're all bishops.
of this church,
BTW.
the Genesis.
Yeah,
The Genesis
yeah.
Church. So,
Yeah, bro. I don't know. Okay. Yes. So it is this church. We don't know. Maybe they do believe it. You sent me this passage from the court records that was
mhm.
very interesting.
Yeah, so you found these really cool court records. It's like US courts, it's a gov document. We can probably share it.
We
It says, like,
totally can
not for
share it. Yeah.
publication. It's like a report of the court proceedings, like a summary of everything, like the timeline. I think it started in 2018 or 2019, but it just took a long time for them to go through it because 2 of the family members fled to Colombia, and so they had to be extradited. Um, but part of it it talks about just, like, the back and forth in the dialogue of the court, and so
Yeah.
I'm just gonna read this one part. A lot of it's kind of just, like, mundane stuff, but this was interesting. Much of the hearing involved the brothers accusing the court of, among other things, committing barratry, slavery, peonage, and press ganging for failing to dismiss the indictment. Jonathan also claimed the proceedings were a, quote, conspiracy against my family, end quote, and noted, quote, the Lord will take vengeance on his adversaries and reserve his wrath for his enemies, end quote. But interwoven between these claims, Jonathan did appear to oppose the continuance, saying that it was, quote, just a way to keep extending and extending time, end quote. I don't know what that means, but
I guess like the court.
so
I
that's
mean, it takes forever
it.
to. You know what it reminds me of is that scene from Pulp Fiction with
I haven't seen that.
girl. We should pause right now. You have to go watch Pulp Fiction and then come back. Samuel L. Jackson has this scene where it's like these two thugs. It's John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson, and they
Mhm.
go to dispatch someone, and he reads this quote from the Bible that's reminiscent of that. I mean, okay, here's the thing. I'm thinking of Mark, the soy guy we
Yeah.
had on. I
Yeah.
can't remember his last name, but where he was like he kind of was serious around, like I can't remember like around myths or
Yes. About the
conspiracy.
definition of, like, a myth, a myth that has because I think and that's a great episode. He's a soy expert, Dr. Messina, Mark
We're
Messina.
a little rusty. We're getting back into this.
He has 30 years of research experience on soy. He's a eating expert, and so he did come on the podcast, which was amazing. I can't believe that he agreed to come on.
Shoot your
But
shot. Shoot your
his
shot.
thing we were talking about, like, the myths behind soy, and he was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa," a myth essentially is something that doesn't ground there's no truth behind it, right? But he was talking about how, like, some of the myths behind soy, there was a grain of truth there, I think, and, like, that there was, like, one case study of a man who drank, like, liters of soy milk every day, and he started to develop breast tissue, and so that was published in a Men's Health article in the '90s. And then from
Yes.
there, went on to, like, the myth, I guess, or misunderstanding that men who
Mhm.
eat soy products will develop, like, female sexualization
Right.
characteristics. So it's like there was a reason why people thought that, it's just not fully understood, and there's some misconceptions and blowing it out of proportion, I guess, a bit,
Big
which is what
time.
we tend to do as humans with everything, so,
I
um
think about him where, I'm like, let's bust these myths and like kind of like I'm like feel it in myself. I'm like making fun of these guys. It's like, but these guys might really believe this. Like,
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about that in a minute, about why people believe in miracles, maybe some
yeah.
potential why. Like, why do we have? Because this is a present day thing, but there's been some weird miracle cures throughout history, like,
Mhm.
very far back. Things like eating mercury and radium. I found one record talking about they used to do milk transfusions instead of a blood transfusion because they thought it was better for you. You can guess how that ended up. Like, that's a really bad idea. But at the time, people were like, this is
Oh
great. This is a
my
really good idea. We should do this. Um, Eating, like, parasites. There were old ads for women to eat
Oh yeah, to
tapeworms and stuff for
lose
weight
weight.
loss.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
was also medical cannibalism.
That's I'm
It's very
shooketh.
upsetting to me to read about, but apparently that stemmed from, grave mistranslation of an old text
Oh my
and
god.
misunderstanding what it said, and so they were like, "Oh, this is great, this is gonna heal us." Yeah. So I'm
Wait,
just
okay.
we c
We have to come back to that. Oh,
okay, we
I need to
will.
understand this. Okay, let's talk a little bit maybe about the like nuts and bolts of
Okay. MMS.
MMS. We gave a little bit of history on, well, so it was the original founder of the Genesis Church.
Mhm,
I think they just kind of call themselves Genesis, but there's like a big old name of
mhm,
the church. The Genesis 2, as opposed to the OG Genesis Church
mhm,
of Health and Healing. Um, so there were people, there was the original guy before them, but then I found this woman who she has gotten into hot water about the miracle mineral solution. And I found her on this website. It's um, Association for Science and Autism Treatment.
Oh.
So, okay, this are you talking about Hannah? The guy you originally found was Jim Humble.
Yes, Jim
Okay,
Humboldt. You have to check out his webpage. If you go into the show notes, please look at this. It's just really something else.
super special. So
Yes.
there's like this lineage, Jim Humble and then the Grenons, but like this woman is like part of this, bleach family tree. He was a Scientologist.
Ooh,
Yeah, so
interesting.
which makes it like a whole other tie-in of wildness. Um, and so the story is that he used chlorine dioxide, which is I'm so bad at this stuff. We're gonna get this right. The sodium chlorite gets activated with acid and then it becomes chlorine dioxide. So he used that as a water treatment on this expedition that he went to in South America in the late 1990s, like 1996, 1997. So it's like, yes, it is a disinfectant. Totally true. If you're in a place with super, super messed up water, or even like there's some water treatment facilities, there's not a ton, but some in the United States that still use this. And I'm sure we can look that up just like we did fluoride when we did the fluoride episode. So, but when he went on that expedition, he was like, this is treating people for all of these diseases. Malaria, I think was the primary one, but like he like really like got attached to this idea. And then he came back to the US. And that's when he was like, it's effective for like cancer, diabetes, like all of these things. And so
Wow.
this is, again, this is on this website, Association for Science and Autism Treatment. So that's where I'm drawing this from .org. It's like asatonline.org. Um, so I think this was the OG guy with the church.
Awesome. Great find. I could
We'll
not figure
cross
out.
check.
You know, so are they saying with the autism link, are these people saying that autism is caused by bacteria?
Okay, so that's kind of where this comes in to the autism world is because there was a woman, Carrie Rivera is this woman's
Okay.
name, and she had a child with autism,
Mhm.
and she started to use MMS on her son and was like, "Hey, he is seeing improvements," and like some of the other treatments that this article describes is like she did like parasite cleanses. They
Mhm.
throw in a gluten-free, casein-free diet, heavy metal detox. Like, I get this
Right.
is the part that's so hard. It's like, there is some like actual good evidence that a gluten casein free diet really does help some kids with autism or like
Mhm.
a low glutamine diet. Like, it's like, I don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater,
Yeah.
but anyway, so but yes, and so she and along with ocean water, that was one of her therapies to detox autistic children. So this is directly from the article, to detox the body of autistic children of allegedly harmful viruses, bacteria, parasites, and heavy metals.
Okay.
Um, and so she actually published a book on this, and then she did get in trouble. But she went to Mexico, and I don't know if the clinic is still open, but she opened this clinic called Autism O2 in Puerto Vallarta. We should
Okay.
just see. I'm just going to Google this real quick to
Mhm.
see if it's still in business. I know people go down to Mexico for all kinds of medical stuff that they can't get access to here. Wow, it looks like it's possibly still open. So that's the other person that I could find that was in trouble with this. And so on that same page, that same article, it says since 2010, the
Mhm.
FDA has warned the public not to ingest chlorine dioxide. And then again, it came up around COVID really heavily. I think I told you, I remember like some hippies that I was around in Northern California having these little bottles of MMS and putting it in their water and drinking it every day.
Interesting. That's
Mhm.
wild.
It was around.
You
It was
know what's
totally
so
around.
funny is that, like, if I did come across it ever, if I saw someone doing that and they're calling it mineral miracle solution or miracle mineral solution, you would never think that it's bleach. Like, you would think it's mineral drops or
Minerals, yeah.
something. So it's
Do you know
it's entirely possible I did encounter it and I just didn't think anything about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for
So
whatever reason, I think I asked some questions and I was like, just smart enough to be like, minerals and this are not the same. And I think I'm gonna pass on whatever mystery substances is in that little bottle,
yeah.
which is
So
not not in line with my character.
right. It's so on one hand, I would love to, like, just dig into, like, why people would believe that that's a good idea. Um,
I
now
mean,
you
girl,
did
people order supplements off Amazon
I know.
every
I know.
day.
It's wild. The level of, like, influencing is just amazing to just believe, blindly believe. I think it's also just not understanding, like, that something that I think there's, like, a misunderstanding that if you can buy something, it's safe.
Yeah.
Like if you
Yeah.
can buy it at the store, if you can buy it wherever online now because you can buy anything online, that it's good
Mhm.
and safe for you. I mean, okay, let me try to, like, gather my thoughts on what I'm trying to say is that where I live in the Southern US, like, it's very common for people to believe that, like, things like, Coca-Cola or whatever, like, other kind of crappy stuff you can get because you can get it at the grocery store, because it's
Mhm.
being sold, there's nothing wrong with having it, like, every single day. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? I think that's what I'm trying to say. It's
Totally.
like, you're like, "Oh, I trust that this is safe. They're selling it and
Mhm.
or they're marketing towards a child, so
Mhm.
it's good for
My
my
mom
kid."
drank it, my
My mom
dad
drinks
drank it.
yeah, and just that, like, blind, like, trust, so I feel like that's, like, a touchy subject. I don't wanna be misconstrued in what I'm trying to say, but the
No,
same
I hear
is
you.
with this
It's
kind of stuff, and I especially with, like, older generation, like, our parents' age, like, buying supplements off Amazon and just not understanding that there's 0 regulation there and that what they're getting
yeah.
might not even contain what it
It could
says
have
or
anything in it.
something
Yeah.
dangerous or yeah, and they're just wasting their money or hurting themselves, but on the other hand, like, chlorine dioxide, like you said, is a disinfectant, and it does kill bacteria, and it has a purpose there, and there's this
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
go for it.
There's a super neat this paper. So there's a paper published, um, in Nature. It's a Polish research group. I actually looked, I always look like, "Oh, where are these
Yeah.
scientists from?" And I was like, "Oh, I wonder if did it get over to Poland, or are they, like, looking over here being like, 'What the fuck
It was
is happening?'"
worldwide apparently, but maybe in Poland, in Ireland, there are people trying to, like, bring it to light, and I think it was coming out of the US, but the Grenon is that how you say their name? Grenon
I
brothers
think.
family?
Yeah.
They were reaching in that short span of time, like 5 to 10 years, they were, like, reaching, like, multiple countries with their product and even doing seminars in other countries.
Dude, I would love to see a picture of these people
I
because
think
here's
I
what I think is like this comes up a lot. Oh God, this is such a can of worms. My friends, family, they like look at RFK and they're like, wow, that dude is so healthy. He's ripped, right? And he's totally ripped. Like his body looks incredible. I'm not going to say anything about the dude's body. Okay, maybe his skin, like he needs to stay out of the sun or whatever. But like, he's like, he can do a bunch of pull ups. He's got a six pack, not an ounce of fat on him. Well, Andrew and I, it's like, shit, we've been in this world for so long. Andrew's like, I could look like that and eat steak and donuts exclusively and get that body. It's a macro thing and it's a fitness thing. And for some people, it's a testosterone thing or a steroid thing. I'm not saying that RFK is on steroids, but it's like the look of somebody or something is so like intimately tied in our brains to the quality. I
Mhm,
like that to me, that's like I think there are tie-ins with, like, your family did it or we trust it because it's in the supermarket. Like, there's all these ways that we think something is valid. But I
mhm,
think, like, our emphasis on the way something is, like, marketed or the way it looks aesthetically, it's like, doesn't mean anything, but we think it does.
yeah,
It's like there's so many businesses that we've worked with over the years, brilliant clinicians, and they're not making any money because they're just not good marketers. But the people who are good marketers are killing it. It's like hopefully
mhm.
you're both, but you don't have to be both to make money and make something popular. And so I'm like, I wonder if these brothers are just like these total, firecrackers. And they're just like the bishops of the church with their shirts off, selling, MMS or whatever. It's like, I would love to see some
I found
photos
a
of these
picture
guys.
and they are not that.
Okay, man,
We'll try to find it and put it in the show notes again.
please.
And the little old man, Jim,
Oh,
the OG, yeah, so that is a really good point though, because that you definitely see that in influencing. I
oh,
mean,
dude.
yeah, so much,
So much. Or like a personality, like remember when we were reading about Linus Pauling and like he essentially was like vitamin C, cures prostate cancer and all these things. And it's like part of what people talk about with him is that he was just such a great personality. So like you heard him speak and he was so convincing and compelling and he was so in love with it that you were like, okay. Like people were like, we're gonna go with it. Like maybe he's right. And it's like, oh my God, you guys, everybody should just have to wear a mask. Um, okay, so there is this paper in the journal Nature, this Polish research group. So they call it acidified sodium chlorite. This makes the most sense to me. And this is the paper that really I was like, okay. So when you acidify sodium chlorite, it becomes chlorine dioxide, and they are speaking directly to this. They call it alternative medicine cure-all, known as miracle mineral solution. Unbelievable! I'd love to know where they got that name. So what their goal was, like their aim, that's what they say, to understand the activity of acidified sodium chlorite against
mhm,
biofilms. So it's like these like it's like a film. I mean, it looks like a
yeah,
film. I think plaque is a form of biofilm, right?
mhm,
So, like, if you have like a mouth guard or retainer and you wear it at night and you like see that like filmy stuff
slimy,
build
yeah,
up, and you got to like bring it to the dentist to get it like they have to like
mhm,
clean the shit out of it. Biofilms are these like communities of bacteria. I want to say
mhm,
yeast, fungus, like all kinds of things can live in there. And if you're really sick with something, like if you have like a Lyme infection, we have a friend right now with Lyme. I'm not going to name his name, but like he's trying to like break up and take care of these biofilms. There is legitimacy there. I think it also like starts to bleed over into like the obsessive cleanliness. Like, I have to get rid of these
yeah,
biofilms, even if you're not sick. However, so this group is like, okay, does MMS essentially, how does it act with these different
mhm,
biofilms of staph, Pseudomonas, Enterococcus, Streptococcus, like these different bacteria? They ran a research study, so that they could kind of see it's outside of the body, so in vitro.
mhm,
Um, they found that the concentrations of acidified sodium chlorite, which can effectively eradicate biofilms, also poses potential health risks due to they say outside in vitro and inside in vivo cytotoxicity. So they're saying like, hey, at the levels that you would have to use for this to break up biofilms, it's actually going to cause damage. They're saying to the mucous membranes of the GI
yeah,
tract. And actually, that's corroborated by another paper I found. It was a murine model, a mouse model of the effect of um, MMS on the microbiome on the
mhm,
GI. So look, there are medicines out there that
yeah,
cause benefit and harm. I mean, that's just the way that the world works. But if you're just taking this, like,
yeah,
or and we don't really know how it works, and then you're not taking the treatment you're supposed to take,
mhm,
that can be problematic. But the interesting part of this paper is they laid out a little bit of like some of the history around this substance being used medically.
mhm,
And so there's this really, really interesting section of this paper. I have to scroll down and grab it. Okay, so here's what they say. Essentially, people are continuing to use MMS, despite the fact that we are all fairly aware now that this is like at the concentrations that you need it's going to
mhm,
be harmful. But they write in the early 1980s, 40
wow,
years ago. I am from the early 1980s, 40 something years ago. The relative safety of ingesting chlorine dioxide at a concentration of 5 milligrams per liter was established over 12 consecutive weeks in clinical trials. And then they have a citation here that you can look up. It's Lubbers et al. controlled clinical evaluations of chlorine dioxide, chlorite, and chlorate in man. Okay, interesting.
Okay.
In 2013, the European Medicines Agency approved a chlorite-based drug known as NP001 in the dose of 2 milligrams per kilogram as an intravenous orphan drug for the treatment of ALS. There's 2 citations on that.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. Furthermore, acidified sodium chlorite formulations like MMS, they give the concentration range, have been developed into nasal aerosols, which were employed as an antiviral prophylactic measure among healthcare workers during the COVID-19 pandemic. That citation, Karnik Henry et al. No, it's just this one person, I think, Karnik Henry. Acidified sodium chlorite solution, a potential prophylaxis to mitigate impact of multiple exposures to COVID-19. Was it effective? I don't
Dang.
think that they say. To maximize the utility of, and then they say to maximize the utility of chlorine dioxide. So that's what they're talking about here. There's this other research group that they created these mats, these like little like fibrous pieces loaded with sodium chlorite producing chlorine dioxide under acidic conditions that can be used as filters in face masks as protection against pathogens. Then they
Interesting.
also use it as anti-plaque, which
Mhm.
I think plaque is a biofilm. So it's like a mouthwash that
Mhm.
people use, and they say it's comparable to those containing chlorhexidine, which we do know is problematic for people. Like you're
Yes.
really not supposed to use those mouthwashes for
Yeah.
good oral and even GI health.
Yeah.
Um,
Cardiac
and then
health.
they
Yeah.
go on and on. I mean, there's cases in candidiasis. I don't know how to say it, like an overgrowth of
Yeah. Candy.
candidiasis. And it also helped the appearance of soft tissue, it says, in the mouth of these people that had, I'm just going to say, candida overgrowth. So there is a little bit of backing in these very specific studies. And even in the studies they're citing here, like, okay, the aerosol for COVID
Mhm.
19, was it effective? I did not dig in to those studies,
This is
but
very interesting. So,
I
like,
know.
I kind of am seeing although I have to say, I am willing to bet that the majority of people taking this have no idea of what you just said.
No. Dude,
They're
they're
not
buying it from
reading the
3
study,
freaks in
not
Florida.
yeah, so
No
they're
idea.
just blindly, like, believing.
And we have no idea if it's like, were they mixing up at concentrations that matched
Yeah.
the case uses that were very specific in these studies? And
Yeah. So
yeah.
the biofilm thing is interesting because I put like one paper in here in the show notes that just it's
Mm.
from like in Frontiers in Cellular Infection Microbiology, just kind of an overview of bacterial biofilms in humans and like the prevalence of them and like how they do influence disease. Um it just makes me really curious if like anecdotal reports of of the MMS sodium or chlorine dioxide I keep forgetting what it's
Yeah,
called.
it's sodium chlorite that gets acidified into chlorine
Yeah.
dioxide. I think
So,
that
essentially,
means
this disinfectant, if it
yeah.
actually is doing something to eradicate biofilms and because biofilms, like you said, it's like this protective wall around these, like, microbe communities that can be
Yeah.
pathogenic, and so, because they have that protection, that layer, I think they're resistant to a lot of antibiotics or other treatments, or they can just be really hard to get rid of, and they can grow,
Yeah.
and they are associated with health problems like
Yeah.
immune problems, infections, things like that, like persistent infections that won't go away.
Yeah.
So if let's just say that that was fairly prevalent in people, and then
Mhm.
they're taking this thing that finally is like eradicating that, and then they're like,
They
oh,
might
I
as
feel
well.
better. My inflammation is going down. I'm feeling that effect.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
could see how that would generate an anecdotal report of like, "This is a miracle drug. I've never, like, been able to feel this good before. It must cure everything," you know?
And also think like, dude, I don't know actually the weather in Colombia at all. I have zero knowledge. We have to
No,
look that
neither.
up. But in Florida, I sure as shit know. I mean, same like in Hawaii. If you don't like
Yeah,
watch it, everything you own will mold.
yeah.
I have mold in me for it's a fungus, the tinea versicolor. Everything molds. So I wonder if there is some like tie in there. Like have you ever heard about people talk about the iodine, the differences in opinion between like Brownstein and and like these different doctors with thyroid issues. And like, I remember I asked this clinician one time, like, why is it such a controversial thing? And he was like, well, Brownstein's up in, I think, like Michigan or something. And then, like, this other doctor someplace where like seafood is more prevalent. And so maybe they're seeing these people
Oh,
in this
with iodine.
area. The population is specific and they really actually do need these super physiological doses of
Yeah,
iodine. And these other people don't. It's like, I wonder if in Florida, people are just eating up with this shit. And they're like, yeah, I feel better from taking this bleach.
right.
Which is
Yeah.
also where Mar-a-Lago is. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean,
Right there.
yeah. So it's interesting, like, and obviously we're not saying that this is a good idea. I just think it's interesting to think of like why would people be thinking this is helping them, But
Dude, because
to
somebody
the
told
harm it
them.
probably is causing too. And there also, by the way, there are other ways to get rid of biofilms, like
Absolutely. Yeah.
that are safe.
It is hard, but yeah, there
Yeah.
are other ways. And
So, but you have to know what you're looking for and what you're targeting, and that's the whole thing. Is it's not just this miracle umbrella cure. You have to have a targeted approach and be measuring your baseline and your outcome, and to know if
yeah.
you're having an impact. Um,
And to make sure you don't hurt yourself. I mean, part of the beauty and the like horror of this world is like you can do whatever you want. So, yeah, I mean, I'm in no way saying to take this, even if you do know that's what you're taking. That's the hard part is like, okay, people are ordering these little bottles of whatever the hell this stuff was. And if we can take, the people creating it at their word, then yeah, it's sodium chlorite. But
mhm.
who knows
No,
what it
dude.
is? Yeah.
Yeah, these guys. Yeah,
But I think this is a good segue into like, why do we believe in this shit? And
yeah,
I mean that in a not a judgmental way. Like, why do we believe the things that we believe,
right.
like
So
miracles?
I am fascinated by this. So there's a study in the show notes that is the neuroscience of miracles and religion. Basically, these researchers who are uh, neuroscientists who look at the brain to try to determine like why people are religious. And the reason why religion is tying in here, one, because the MMS like whole church thing is
Oh,
essentially
that's the
the
deal.
subject of this podcast. But then it kind of also overlaps with that blindly believing and following this thing, or these dudes in their dirty shed in Florida. Like, why are you trusting guys? Like, why?
Yeah.
And so you have that like faith is factoring in, and the belief factor, the belief in miracles, the belief that yes, this substance was given to us by, I guess, God is what they said, to cure all.
Mm.
I can't comprehend who in their right mind would believe that, but there are researchers who study this and do look at people's brains to try to figure out what the heck is going on there. So
Yeah.
there's a neuroscientist from Northwestern University, Jordan Grafman, and we have his page linked here with all of his publications.
Dude, we
So
should email him.
yes, we're going to try. Dr. Grafman, we are going to
We're
contact you to
after
try
you, bro.
to see if you would come and talk to us. So I linked an interview with him that was published this year in National Geographic, and that is the neuroscience of miracles. So basically, what he does is he's not trying to prove miracles are real, but he's trying to figure out why people believe in miracles and
Mm,
what it looks like in someone's brain when they have a belief in miracles, what brain regions are activated. Because like when we say miracle, you kind of think about like old stuff, like old timey, like turning wine into water and saving this person and doing this and doing all these
water into
incredible
wine.
things.
But yes.
Yeah, water into wine. Thank you. I obviously know my stuff.
Actually, I'm totally into the wine into water thing at this point
Yeah,
in my
sounds
life. But yeah.
awesome. But the Vatican has a whole like miracle investigation office that is still a thing. So
Can
they
you
still investigate
imagine
miracles.
somebody's like, you like go out on a date and they're like, what's your job? And you're like, Actually, I work in the miracle investigation office,
Sounds amazing. I mean, I
the
think
U.S.
they
Division
also
of
have like an
Crime.
exorcism office, right? I think. Yeah.
Oh.
So,
We should call the
um,
exorcism office for the medical medium and get him taken care of. But
they're probably on it, man. They're probably low key like investigating him.
If he was at
Um,
all taking money away from Rome, I'm sure
right.
that they would. Sorry, go ahead. I'm
So,
dismiss that.
where was I? So basically, Dr. Graffin, what he does is he like uses MRI imaging and looks at people's brains. It's this is a really interesting article that we have linked, so you should read it. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but basically, what he said is the belief in like, being religious and these deeply held, like unwavering beliefs really tie into belief in miracles because you have to have that
Mm,
belief that something like that is possible, right?
mhm.
And so that belief isn't just like an old thing, like hundreds of years ago. In fact, the belief in miracles is growing apparently, which is interesting to me.
Oh. I can kinda
Um,
see that. I can totally see that.
yeah, so the General Social Survey from the University of Chicago has been monitoring social change since the 70s, and it asks its respondents if they believe in religious miracles. They asked them in 1991, 1998, 2008, and in 2018. And for people who align with any religious tradition at all, their belief in miracles increased 62% in 2018, which was a jump of 14 points from 1991.
Wow.
And it, most of what they study related to miracles, this for this particular researcher, Dr. Grafman, are health related miracles.
Mhm.
So, um, and they say one person who said, I saw my cousin getting healed from cancer completely, things like that.
Mhm.
So in our modern era, health related miracles are dominating. Versus back in the day when it might have been more of something supernatural or turning water
Food.
into wine. Yeah, like
Yeah, like the
now it's like
food
health
miracles
related.
in the
Mhm.
Bible. People were hungry.
Or financial miracles, like all of a sudden you're coming into more money or whatnot.
Mhm.
So, another interesting thing from this article, it says that people who experience miracles were predominantly educated, with college or higher degrees, and it included people of all genders, ages, and races. But also, they noted you can't really draw conclusions just from this one sample of people.
But interesting.
Um, yeah. Okay. So now into his MRI study.
Uh-huh.
So they asked people, how much do you support the statement, there are really miracles? Like miracles are real. And what they found is when people had lesions in deep regions of their brain and farther to the back of their head, they believed in miracles less. People who had frontal lesions believed in miracles more.
Dude.
So
I would pick the frontal lesions just to be totally straight with you.
yeah. Now, what's really cool here to me is that that brain area in the front connected to belief in miracles were different from regions related to magical thinking. So it's like a
Huh.
separate thing.
Huh.
So they said a belief in miracles is not quite the same thing as if you think like your thoughts and desires and like mindset can change the external world.
Mhm.
But the brain regions related to belief in miracles were associated to the same areas linked to the placebo response, where
Huh.
you have expectation or beliefs that lead to actual biological and measurable changes.
Dude, lesion the front of my brain, please. Like, that's fascinating,
It
dude.
is. And placebo is, fully believe in the placebo response. I
Well,
mean, it can
we
be
just
measured.
yeah,
Yeah,
we've measured it. We know it's true.
incredible.
Bro, okay, you had me on the edge of my seat. Yeah.
So
I
this
mean, I
is
already kind of read through this and I was still like, what is she gonna say right now?
it's so fascinating.
It's
So
fascinating.
yeah, we're gonna reach out to this guy, and it would be awesome if he came on and we could
Oh
talk
my
more
god, it would
about
be so
this.
cool.
But yeah,
Golly. I
it's a
mean,
lot
do
to
you
think about.
remember going through grad school and your understanding of like knowledge changing and like where where it comes from changing, and then it's like, for me at least, the things that used to work didn't work anymore. I was like, I
Mhm,
know better than this.
mhm,
This is not the thing.
mhm.
I was so bought in before that.
Your
It stole
mindset,
my
I
placebo.
mean, it's absolutely incredibly powerful. Like,
Dude, so there's that all of the retraining that people do of
Mhm.
their brains. I mean, I think there's different, like dynamic neural retraining is one, the Gupta method, I think there's like different trainings
Mhm.
that people go through. And they I mean, I think I've talked about this a little bit on the podcast. I had a client who had chronic fatigue symptoms, like, couldn't leave her house for years.
Yeah.
Like, she would do anything, and she went through a brain retraining, and dude, it's what healed her. I mean, she's one person out of 8 billion on this earth, but there are tons of testimonials about brain retraining and the way that we approach things and think about things and believe in things, changing our
Mhm.
physical body. Yeah, it is fascinating.
Yeah.
So, at the end
There's
of the
just so much
day
we don't understand about our brain. I
yeah.
mean, it's just
That's
so
pretty amazing though that he can see differences in the way that the brain is like
uh-huh,
how it looks, like the
lighting up.
actual
Like,
anatomy. Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, if you're interested in that, check it out. Um, and
We'll
then
put it
he
in the
has
show
a whole
notes.
list of publications. Oh, his research, it says, is focused on religion, politics, political beliefs, and miracles and,
God, yeah,
um
let's email him. I mean, I feel like his work might really explain so much of what we talk about on the show. Like, why do
exactly.
people believe this shit?
Yeah.
I
What
wonder
is
if
going
there's a
on?
connection or if somebody's looked at like the increase in belief in miracles connected somehow to like the decrease in trust in like public health,
Yes.
political structures, social structures. It's like, it does seem like in my short life, like especially from the pandemic, but also politically, all of that being
Mhm.
intertwined, that we don't trust authority the way that we used to. And so it's like,
Right.
well, I do think there's a vacuum that gets created. And I'll tell you one thing I know for sure humans are not interested in living in a state of not knowing. They
Mhm.
fucking hate that shit. So it's like something is going to come in to replace that trust. And I
Mhm.
wonder if that is miracles or, this uptick in supplements or miracle cures or these
Yeah.
different things because, for most people it's like if you ask them their opinion, it's like them saying like I don't know or I'm not sure. It's hardly ever in their response.
Mhm.
People just don't feel that way.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've talked about this before on the podcast as to why, like, influencers have so much influence and power over people, and it's because
Mhm.
it's that direct, like, contrast to the public health official or the governmental official who or team of scientists who are very, like, removed from you. It's like this talking head person, you don't know if you can trust them, you don't know who they are, and now that we
Mhm.
have, like, that influencer who is, like, seems very personal to you, even though essentially they're the same thing, and even worse because most of them don't have any training or practice knowledge or, you know,
Mhm. But
uh
they're on your little phone in your pocket and they're in
exactly.
your bed with you. It's
Yeah,
like they're literally in bed while you're,
with
like,
you.
looking at your little
Yeah.
thing, and then sometimes they, like I was talking to a friend the other day, and it was, like, this, influencer, this, personality on social media that had a ton of followers interacted with her, and she was like, "Oh my god," and it's like actually,
Mhm.
Jolene Brighton the other day is this woman I follow on Instagram. She's, like, a fertility some kind of clinician, and she had this video where she's like, "I'm a person." I'm like,
Yeah.
somebody was kind of, like, bitching at her, and she was like, "I'm just a lady." I was like, "Yeah, fair enough,"
Just a person.
but we don't see them that way.
Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting, but I I'm glad that you brought MMS MMS, the miracle mineral solution to my attention because I completely missed all of this. Like, I that was not in my line of sight at all when that was
Well, I'm
happening.
glad you're happy about it. I think some people would be like, "Keep that shit under wraps,
But
you
be aware
maniac."
because, like, we've heard from, you know, someone, a person, a real person, that, like, this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a thing.
People are
So,
still doing it.
and if it's called a mineral solution, you might not be
Here's
aware.
the okay, wait, here's the crazy thing that just came into my mind. Because there are still municipalities in the United States that are using sodium chloride, and I can't remember if it's in the sodium chloride or chlorine dioxide form in their water. If
Mhm.
you just move to one of those areas, you too can have MMS just in your drinking water
Every day
every day.
for free.
Also, I wonder how many people taking MMS are also like super hyper vigilant about filtering their water or like drinking a certain.
So it's too
I'm
much.
sorry. I should have more like I just can't at this point
No,
in
you
my
shouldn't,
career
'cause
in
then this
this
shit is stupid.
dude.
Like, at a certain point, I can only have so much tact and grace, and I'm just like, "What is wrong with you?
It's
Why would
well,
you believe this?"
yeah, 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 especially if you're not sick. It's like if you're
Yeah,
sick, I'm like, shit, I would try everything too. But like if you're
right.
just like, I'm doing this to make sure I don't have parasites or whatever, people believe.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. Don't drink bleach. That's the point of this episode.
We our next episode will be on can we just go ahead and say it?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think we should tell people.
So, coming up next, we will be doing an episode on free birthing, the free birthing movement, which
Free
is
birthing ain't free, baby.
it'll be a
That's
bit
fucked up.
heavier probably than today's topic.
Totally heavier. I shouldn't say that. I mean, that's like in line with medical medium. Like people
It
have
is.
died, women
Mhm.
have died, babies. I don't know if
Yeah,
babies have died.
I don't
That's
know,
a
but
bad scene.
yeah, it's something to be aware of. It had a few headlines, like, a few months ago, but I don't know if it's, like, losing
Oh
awareness.
no, girl, I still get emails.
You do?
I
Okay.
signed up for their newsletter, and it is. I think
So
I sent you the last email I got where.
mhm. Oh, it makes my blood boil. The women who are behind this, despite the deaths that have occurred under their, like, guidance and advice, they're still going strong, still
They're
telling
using it as leverage for their own marketing
it's
and sales.
disgusting. Yeah. So we will be talking about that next time.
Okay. Well, Hannah, yeah, we're back a little. Maybe
Yeah.
we just do it during your breaks and
Yeah.
when I can
As long
climb
as
out
we
of
can get a
my
few
hole.
episodes out there every few months, I mean, I just love doing this. And thank
I hope
you.
people like it. Yeah.
Yeah, please let us know. Leave us a genuine review, and we really appreciate you listening. I was
Yeah.
listening back to some of our podcasts, and I realized that had been kind of in my head,
Mm.
over the last, like, year and a half since we've been doing this, like, really just feeling like, what are we doing? Like, I sound like an idiot when I'm talking, like, what am I doing? And then I
Everybody
listened
feels like that.
back after this break, and I was like, "Hey, we're pretty good." Like,
Yeah.
we're actually
I
doing
love
pretty
this
good.
podcast. I mean, I would listen to this podcast.
Yeah, so
Have you ever seen that? What is the actor's name? Is it Adam Driver, the guy
yeah.
that was in? Okay, and he like will never interact with his own work. Like he won't watch
Oh,
himself.
really?
And so there's this episode of Fresh Air with Terry Gross on NPR.
Mhm.
Hopefully everybody knows it. If you haven't listened to Fresh Air with Terry Gross, it's the deal. And she plays this. I think it's just an audio of him in I can't remember what movie he was in, and he, like, gets up and leaves the interview. He's so disturbed, he, like, can't listen.
That's kind of extra,
I know
but
it's a little
okay, Adam
extreme.
Driver.
It's
But
a
that's
little
the
extreme.
same where I'm like, "Oh, what am I? I'm just
Ugh,
talking and talking. What am I even saying?" And then I listen back and I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's fine."
great shit, you're saying great shit. You're telling people not to drink bleach.
Yeah.
We should get some type of award. Just kidding. Okay. Okay, free birth, and then there was another one that you had that cool
Yes.
idea. Well,
Oh,
maybe
so
we should
there's a
keep that
study
one
that
under
came
wraps
out
or
that is
okay.
looking at why people might think buildings are haunted, like old houses, and it has to do I'm just gonna go ahead and just tell you. It
Yeah.
has to do with a frequency of sound that is produced by, like, old pipes and things like that, I guess,
Like the
and it
infrastructure of the building.
interacts with your brain in a certain way to make you feel a certain way. So cool. So, we'll talk about that in that episode, but
That's
I'm
neat.
very excited about that
We're
one.
slowly gonna morph into, like, I can totally feel it, like a supernatural
Yes.
ghost
Yep.
alien podcast. And I'm sure we have touched on the intersection between health
Mhm.
and supernatural. So
Yeah.
this is kind of that. The sacrament of MMS. Okay, girl, have a great day out there. I'm gonna grade some papers.
Nice.
And then I'm gonna go to the music festival.
Oh, what a great Friday. Okay. Have a wonderful day.
I'll see you soon, girl.
Bye.
Bye.